Welcome to R&R's Exit Expert. I'm your host, Mildred Ingram, R&R's Editor-in-Chief, and today I'm joined by the CEO of RESTORERZ Emergency Services, Eduard Mirzoian. Edward, could you provide a brief overview of your background and experience? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So just kind of background, I am 29 years old, pretty young, I would say, for this industry, especially construction. Um, Father, just had a little baby, about 10 months old now. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And the leader, I would say, of Restorers, a company in Southern California. Just as of right now, we have 3 locations, and we're about 5 years old. So we've as a company, we're 5 years old. I've been in the industry now for about like 12 years.
Mhm.
But yeah, started off, I would say, just like almost every other restorer. Started off as a technician, doing all the dirty work, and then slowly moved my way into a project manager, and then I had to completely forget about all of that and turn into a leader, right? Completely different mindset,
Mhm.
completely different responsibility. I wouldn't say anyone is easier or harder than the other one, but that's where I'm at today.
Like they just lend to different things. Okay.
Definitely.
So, could you share maybe some notable achievements or projects that you've worked on or potentially are currently working on?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I'm currently not involved, I would say, in day-to-day, field related activities.
Mhm.
But I would say some of the most hardest things that I've ever done in my life are currently what's happening right now as a leader. Like I go to sleep and I wake up just actually working for everyone else in the company, right? My main goal is how could I make things easier? How can I make things more enjoyable? How could I create a better culture? So in reality, I'm working for everybody else, right? And I love it. This is exactly where I want to be. I think it's my superpower.
Mhm.
One of my superpowers as a leader, to create the good culture and great culture that we currently have that attracts, the superstars that we currently have.
Okay. So that actually falls right into our next question of what aspects of your work do you enjoy most and why? So it would be creating that culture for you.
Yeah, and I think that's been a game changer, especially with a very competitive market that
Mhm.
the, I mean, just in general, the restoration industry is, and especially being in LA, the market is very competitive, and throughout COVID, just by having that one key, I don't think there's a magic pill, but at the end of the day, having a great culture solves a lot of things. Where
Mhm.
when a lot of people were, losing people and couldn't get people to go out and face the struggles of working in a COVID environment, we were actually growing. So, and I think having an amazing culture and having a why was what kept us growing and is keeping us growing right now. So over the years, I found that it takes a strong leadership team to create a why. And then once you have the why, is what you build your culture around. And then I've always figured out being good and great is there's a huge difference in being good and great, and they're like oceans apart, right?
Mhm.
So I think to be good, you have to do a couple of things well. But if you want to if you want to be great at something, you have to do everything well, and that's what we kind of strive for every single day. Um, sorry, I went off
No,
track.
you completely answered the question. You completely answered it. You didn't get off track at all. So, as a CEO, you
Mhm.
know, having to take on this new mindset and, from being a technician to being a project manager, I mean, just what are some future goals or aspirations that you have, like just maybe for your company or just like, in general?
Yeah, I mean, on a daily basis, we try to be better than we were yesterday, and for that to happen, we really nailed down self-development and knowledge and education. And I guess in like just any business, the fear of a any leader or owner of the company is being scared to train people and give them all the tools because they might go and do their own thing. Well, I think I've actually learned this from a lot of good entrepreneurs and good leaders that what if you don't give them the tools and they stay in your company? So my goal every single day is to give everybody the best tools that I possibly know of to go out there and really make a killing, really make a career out of restoration instead of it just being just another job. So with
Mhm.
that mindset, I have the mindset where if we pay people well, we could also expect more from them, right? And I'd like to note that, we are the most premium company in our market, but I expect our clients to also expect more from that, right? So I've found that needing to overpay people is often like a symptom of not having a strong culture.
Mhm.
And just like having the lowest price is a symptom of not having anything unique about your product or people. So I value the people in our company, and that is why we charge, accordingly, and we also pay people accordingly. And having that great culture, like we have ping pong tables in our office, and we have glass all over the place, and we have the best
Yeah.
coffee machine and this. So I really try to pour in to our people so that our people can go out and pour into our clients.
You sound like you have an amazing business structure.
Thank
Dude,
you.
it's like you should write a book.
One day.
Yes, absolutely. Um, absolutely. So as we near the end of the interview, I am curious, what would you say again through your growth within the industry? What was or at least one of the biggest career related lessons that you've learned just up until this point?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I've learned a lot of things by either making the mistakes myself, or the best way to learn is always by making sure you don't make the same mistakes that the people around you have already made and learn from it. But I would say the most important thing that I've learned that's elevated me is to recently we partnered with Tommy Mello, and Tommy is a great friend of mine and an amazing entrepreneur. And one of the main reasons that I partnered with him is because he says this. He says, "You have to, as a leader, you have to have dreams so big that everybody else's dreams fit in yours." Right. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I've learned to, dream big because you never know what's going to happen. But if you can't visualize something, you're never going to be able to ever obtain it, right? But just to kind of get down to a smaller scale, like one of the most important things that I've learned is to create systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's really elevated our business because I always try to find out what is the best way of doing something, and that's usually I learn that by me doing it myself. So as I've gone through the industry, I was a technician, I was a project manager, I was negotiating invoices, I was justifying invoices, and then I became a leader. So every single thing that I've learned, I've kind of learned mostly by doing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So until I found a better way to do it, and then I've implemented that. But then taking that, documenting it, and really systemizing the whole process, and then adding automation on top. So now we're not managing people; we're good people, superstars are managing a system that's a living, breathing thing that we constantly improve every single day. So I would say is taking really complicated problems, creating a very simple solution for it, and systemizing it is one of the most important things that I've learned and that I've implemented into our business.
I've heard a lot of great leaders say something along the same lines, literally documentation, because being a gatekeeper is not really caring about the industry.
Yeah.
If you want to keep everything to yourself just so that you are the only person that knows how to do whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that's refreshing. It's really refreshing to hear. So, are there any tips aside from what you just said? I mean, you really just are leaning into these perfectly. Are there any tips that you would give someone looking to just kind of rise through the ranks as you have in the industry?
Yeah. some tips that I would give is constantly be learning, right? And constantly be growing, because when you're not growing, you're dying at the end of the day, right? But to just kind of go further into that is, I understand the restoration industry as, what we like to think is, what it is, and it's just our industry, but we are part of something bigger, which I would say is the service industry and the home
Mhm.
service industry. So a huge reason why I've been successful is because I've went about building a business by looking at other industries like HVAC, plumbing, garage doors, Tommy Mello, right? And
Mhm.
take what they've been doing and what they've had success in, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you still have to be doing the core things in business right to be able to grow as a business. So I've taken little things that, there's been seeds planted in my head from just listening to these guys, whether it's books, podcasts, or going to their events and stuff like that, and just really thinking outside of the restoration industry, taking all the good things in the industry, taking all the good things from other industries, and really just keeping an open mind and just implementing those things, right?
Mhm.
So it's exactly that. Don't just be stuck to what your current industry is, because we don't have a huge industry, right? Especially like most of our industry is filled with uh, uh you know a certain type of restoration company, which is a franchise model or TPAs and stuff like that.
Right.
There really isn't uh, the mix of like good business business values. It's more of like compliancy with the insurance company.
Mhm.
But then as I started looking into other industries and other companies that, were exiting for $600 million, you know, Tommy that says this thing, success leaves clues, right? So I started tracking those things down and just started implementing into my business. But having an open mind and not getting into analysis paralysis is what I call it, right? When you take in too
Yes.
much information, it's like I think about it as in seasons, right? Sometimes I'm in my learning season, and then you have to
Mhm.
stop learning and start implementing. But most people just start taking things in, and then they just get stuck with the information, and it never gets on paper, or there's no action behind it. And then it's just dead information, right? It's just bogging down your brain. So learning and then applying and implementing, tracking and then readjusting and then re-implementing again is one of the most important tips and tricks that I would tell anyone.
That is perfect. Well, Edward, thank you so much for your time and insight. And before we go, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about Restorer's Emergency Services?
Yeah, so we're on all social media platforms, just whatever it is: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and then Restores, RESTORERZ. And then actually, I am starting I just have recently started a little Facebook group to be able to pour into people that have, actually helped me throughout the process, and then as many people as I could help. That's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm giving back. I'm bringing the people that have actually helped me, that I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for throughout this journey, to
Hmm.
learn something. And they're in the group also. They're going to be, if they're not yet, they're going to be in the group. There's nothing being sold. It's just free information for anyone looking to get, more information about how things, how I've done things, and how a lot of people from other industries have seen success. So the Facebook group name is The Hierarchy. So it's going to be HIERARCHY. And then, there's a few questions that you might have to answer. But again, it's going to be no frill, no spam, no nothing, just people communicating about business and helping each other out.
Wow. Thank you so much, Edward. And for more insights on restoration, remediation, and people behind it all, like Edward, visit our website, rnrmagonline.com. We're also on Apple and Spotify. If you haven't yet, be sure to follow the podcast to keep up with our latest episodes and give us a quick review and rating. We're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, so we invite you to follow us there too. This has been another awesome episode of Ask the Expert, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.